meeting is held in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act 10:4-6 at Seek. Annual notice having been forwarded to the New Jersey Herald and the New Jersey Sunday Herald and posted on the bulletin board maintained in the municipal building for public announcements. Would everybody please rise for a moment and join us in a salute to the flag? And there is, I'm going to get a flag here in a moment. There we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Bongiovanni.
Here.
Mr. Dellarino. Mr. Duncan.
Here.
Mr. Gaffney.
Here.
Mrs. Crock.
Here.
Mr. Ray.
He's coming in.
I see him. Mr. Tappan.
I'm here.
Here.
All right, got you. Mr. Taylor. Councilman Schindler. Oh, yeah.
I'm here.
Mayor Francis.
Here.
Mr. Gilbert.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum, I believe. The minutes of the meeting of January 18th, 2022 have been distributed electronically. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
Make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Bongiovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Duncan.
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney.
Yes.
Mrs. Crock.
Yes.
Mr. Ray.
Yes.
Mr. Tappan.
Yes. Yes.
Is Councilman Schindler here yet?
Don't see him.
Okay. Mayor Francis.
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. Okay, we have a continued application, Greg Somjan, block 10810, lot 18, 13 Point Pleasant Road. We went through most of the application last time, although I have to admit that I did not have all of the supporting data last time. All I had was page A1. I did not have any of the other pages of the materials that were shown. So I think we should go through that thing again. And we'll start with Mr. Somjan. Is Mr.
Wait, Mr. Chairman, if I could just interrupt because we have Mr. Bongiovanni's oath of office. Mr. Bongiovanni, are you on the screen?
Yes, I'm here.
Mr. Bongiovanni, you have signed this oath of office. It's still accurate and still in effect, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I just wanted to be able to notarize this, and this is your signature.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And
Thank you,
I'll just, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haggerty.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I'd like to recuse myself from this application.
Okay, thank you very much. Is Mr. Schindler here? No, he's still not here. Okay, no problem then. Mr. Heffley, are you here?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chairman, and ready to go.
Okay, so let's turn it over to Mr. Heffley first. Mr. Heffley, I believe you you were in contact with Marty Kane.
Yeah, so I can give the board a quick brief overview here. So yeah, it's the continuing application to renovate this lakefront home that's in disrepair, and it's located at 13 Point Pleasant Road. And we had appeared at the January meeting, and specifically what we're proposing here was the removal of the detached garage, which is sitting there separately on the property, if you remember. We're going to attach a new garage to the existing structure and renovate the existing structure. And also the boathouse is in a state of disrepair and sinking into the lake, and we were going to renovate that and raise it out of the lake. We did appear at the January meeting, and all of the applicants' testimony was presented, and the application was pretty much reviewed at length by the board. We discussed various modifications to the plans and several conditions to the approval, and all of those the applicant agreed to. And I think that the sole remaining issue that the board wanted additional confirmation on was that prior non-conforming rental use of that cottage. And specifically, you guys wanted authentication of the Sanborn maps that we presented, as well as substantiation through the municipal tax records that the property is a prior non-conforming use. So subsequent to the meeting, I supplied both of those items to the board under a letter dated January 20th, 2022. And in that correspondence, the Sanborn maps that we supplied, the authenticity of those was confirmed by Marty Kane. And also I supplied the municipal property tax record cards that show the cottage predated 1940. So I think that what the board was looking for has been supplied, and I don't believe there was anything else. I think we don't have any additional testimony. I think we supplied those items to the board and to the board's attorney for his review. He had specifically requested those, and we really don't have anything else, and we're ready to let the board move on the application.
That
Okay.
documentation was received. Yep.
Now, the Sanborn map shows that there are two small cottages, the larger of which and the boathouse, not in the same location as the current boathouse. The center small cottage was turned into a large two-car garage. When was that done, and was it permitted?
The two-car garage. I'm not sure when the two-car garage was constructed, Mr. Chairman, but the cottage that's located on the property never changed. The Sanborn maps show the cottage exactly the same position and condition as it is today. So with regard to that garage, I don't know when it was constructed or if it was permitted, but I don't think it makes any difference because we're taking it down.
Well, it makes a difference if that was expanded to the garage or if it was expanded to the two-story house.
But the garage was always a separate structure here. And that's being taken, that garage, that separate structure is being removed, and we're going from 4 structures on the property to 3 structures on the property.
Okay, and
Much bigger. The garage is much bigger than it was on the Sanborn map.
But again, the garage, the Sanborn maps, obviously they it's a long time ago, and these things were actually sketched by hand back then. But anyway, again, I don't think it makes much difference because the dilapidated garage that's sitting separately is being removed as part of this application, which, reduces the number of structures on the property. So,
It is, you're increasing it per the original structure was much smaller. So whether there was a larger structure there is debatable, right? You're now replacing it with a structure that's even bigger than that one.
No,
Correct?
that's not correct. We testified to what we were adding onto the house at the last meeting. We went through that, Mr. Duncan.
You did,
And-
but this structure is bigger than the garage that sits there presently. And the garage that sits there presently is bigger than the structure that's shown on the Sanborn map. That's my point.
Okay, well, that may be, but my point is we're still removing that garage. So I don't think it's relevant.
Right, but
And-
you're going up, that garage is getting bigger than what it was, that it is now, correct?
I understand that it's being attached to the house, but we went through all of that testimony at the last meeting, exactly how we are doing that. We went through the fact that it's all storage up above, that we have to go through a utility room to get to it. It's a 2-car garage. and the existing structure is a two-car garage. So I really don't think it is anything more than an actual improvement here to remove that garage and only have 3 structures that actually work on the property and a nice new renovated house with a garage attached. So I don't see the relevance of the history of that garage since it's being taken down.
Okay, on the boathouse, why does it need to be replaced? Why not repaired? And what is, I'm not sure about this, raising it.
Okay, so that again, we talked about that at the last meeting. The boathouse is being repaired. The boathouse is not being expanded in any way. The boathouse is simply, it's like many boathouses on the lake, and this was the testimony, it's too low. It's sinking into the lake. And what we're doing is we are simply
The structural engineer certify that it's sinking in the lake?
Pardon?
Did an engineer certify that it's sinking into the lake other than the statement of it's sinking into the lake, we have to replace it? Is it an engineer? Tell me that. A structural engineer.
Mr. Heffley, can I chime in?
You most
Go
certainly
ahead,
can,
Mr.
Thompson.
So just for clarification, the
Mr.
boathouse,
Stubbs, you're reminded you're still under oath.
yes, sir, thank you. Yes, sir. So as a recap of what I shared last time, the boathouse, for clarity, is not sinking into the lake. The entire bottom of the boathouse is rotted away. Every storm that brings water higher into the lake ends up washing over the concrete foundation that's there, and over decades, the bottom of this boathouse has rotted out. We are going to raise it up. It's an old boathouse, 100 years old, and like anything, past its useful life in many respects. And so we're going to build upon it, improve it. And when we do that, we're going to lift it out of the water based on the drawings that we showed, just like every other homeowner around the lake is doing with docks and things like that, because it's on the main lake. We have water that is much higher these days as a result of storms, and the wood is just rotting out. So again, it's an improvement to the boathouse that's decades old, where the wood is rotting away. I'm a licensed architect and professional, and I will tell you, if something is not done to that, eventually that boathouse will collapse, because the wood framing on which it sits on the first floor is in fact rotting away. So again, there's an investment.
What is the structure under the boathouse?
It's the concrete foundation that has existed for the same.
It's concrete. It's not any kind of wood pilings or anything?
No. It's a large concrete foundation that is U-shaped, on which wood structure was framed to support the boathouse itself.
Are you replacing the concrete structure? What are you doing with the concrete itself?
The concrete structure is in good shape. It was inspected. We might do a little patching and repair work, in areas where the concrete is spoiling, but we are not touching the concrete. And in reality, we might actually take a little bit by the mouth of the boathouse out, so that technically speaking, we're reducing it a little bit. And so the concrete foundation is not being expanded, and we're going to build upon it because it's deemed to be, structurally sound.
Greg, just one more question. I mean, you're not expanding the footprint of the boathouse. It's a
No.
two-story boathouse today. It'll be a two-story boathouse when you're done, except that it'll be renovated. It'll have new siding. It'll match the house, and it'll look architecturally much better than it does today. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Let's see.
Mr. Chairman, I thought at the last meeting, we were done with the testimony. Basically, the only thing that we required
But
Mr. Somden
Bob,
to do.
I didn't have all the supporting documents last time personally.
Okay.
I mean, I was just going by what was emailed to me, and I didn't have any of the supporting documents. I had page A1 only out of A1, 2, 3, 4, and is there a 5? Yeah, SE, and then the Somgen map. So I didn't have all of those things. So
Okay.
I went out there again today, and I went through the whole thing, and I have some questions now.
I think the rest of us all were pretty, I mean, I went out there, I looked at it, I'm sure everybody else did. I mean, I guess whatever questions you have would be, the only thing we need, and he's provided the paperwork, showing that those buildings were there long before zoning.
Well, we got that, yeah. But I had question about, I don't recall if we considered the 2-foot dock.
Mr. Chairman, I can address that. The 2-foot dock size was a variance request, and the applicant agreed to spend the additional funds and actually widen that to 4 feet so that it wouldn't be a variance and so that it complies. And that's one of the conditions that Mr. Haggerty had reiterated and that we had agreed to as part of any resolution.
Right, okay. Now, let's see. The house as it stands is just gonna be renovated. It's not gonna be raised and rebuilt, correct?
Well, it's going to have the garage added onto it,
Right.
and testified to, and that's on the plans, right on the front page of the plans. You can see what that's going to look like.
I see that. However, as I look through some of the other pages, I see that there's a basement proposed.
No, everything, to answer your question, Mr. Chairman, the existing house is not being raised. The basement that you see is existing. It's partial crawl space, partial full basement. The footprint of the building remains unchanged with the exception of moving the detached garage to an attached garage. We are not raising the building. We are not widening the footprint again, except for the garage. So the basement reference is an existing basement. There's no expansion.
Okay, and do we have any of the details about the basement? The size, what's down there, anything about it?
Well, it's the basement follows the footprint of the existing house. Part of it is crawl space, part of it is basement. It's basically utility spaces. And that's pretty much it. It's an unfinished area where mechanical equipment, water heater, those kinds of things existed.
Mr. Sumner, is it safe to say it's uninhabitable down there in the basement?
Yes, the ceiling is about 7 feet, 6.5 feet. It's going to be utility space. There'll be a restroom for people that are at the lake to use, and that's it. It's small by comparison to the footprint of the building because most of the basement area is crawl space.
Okay, thank
What
you.
is the lift area between the old house, if you took the footages of house and garage of the existing area and took the area of the new garage and house, what is the differential in footage? Because I did a little calculation. I just want to see how close you are.
I'm not sure if it's on the drawings. I don't have that calculation, so I would have to do it. But to reiterate, go ahead.
Yeah, but there are no variance requests with regard to that.
Oh, you're doubling the size of the house. That's my concern. That was my concern at the last meeting.
We're not doubling the size of the house, sir.
Area.
The existing first floor remains exactly the same footprint. The existing second floor is being expanded by 300 to 500 square feet because the one-story family room that faces the lake will now have a second floor over it. Because remember, there is a second floor today. It's just smaller than the first floor footprint. And then the garage is being moved from attached to detached. So we are not doubling the size of the house, not even close.
So you're adding 300 square feet and the garage is what it comes down to.
A little bit more than 300 square feet because currently the second floor is set back from the first floor walls by 3 or 4 feet on the lake side and on the front side. So when you push those out, call it 3 foot by 20 foot, maybe that's 60 square foot on the front, 60 square foot on the back, call it 120 plus the family room at 300, 420, 500 square feet if you want to round up.
I took it off. The concern I had the last time is still my concern this time. All the area over the garage, how much volume we're adding to this lot. That's my concern. That's for the pushback. That's why there's so much pushback here.
Yeah, and I believe that at the last meeting, Mr. Sumgen said that on the side of the house where it's only 9/10 of a foot from the adjoining lot, that the adjoining lot was quite a bit higher And when I went out there today, it might be higher, but it certainly doesn't look it. I mean, I walked
I've
up
had,
there-
the,
Go ahead, Mr. Songden.
well, I mean, the house which is next door to us, to which you are referring, the driveway of that house is at least 5 foot, the finished floor of the driveway is at least 5 foot higher than our property. So if you assume that an 8 foot floor to ceiling in the garage on the first floor, that takes us to 13 foot higher than our first floor. And there's a walkout basement and a second floor. So, I mean, everything is relative. It's certainly higher. If you're just referring to the driveway, I would argue when I stand on our property and look next door, that driveway is probably, maybe about chest high, plus or minus. So my only point to talking about the house next door was that, there was a concern about us expanding the second floor. And I merely pointed out that there is what amounts to a 2 or 3 story home next to ours. And so we're not, in my opinion, at least, we're not, having a negative impact from a size perspective, especially since we already have a partial second floor on our home.
Okay, well,
Alan, the house next door height, it's irrelevant. We got to stay on the application. I would ask, do
That's part of the
you have
application,
everything
Ron.
answered that you need, Alan, from all the missing documents?
Ron, the neighborhood deals with the application. It is part of the application in consideration. That is.
Let the neighbor testify then, Duncan.
What?
Let the neighbor testify then if it's a problem. I'm just saying, we went through, we hashed all through this
We all
last
can have a
week.
position.
And
on
Alan,
what-
we want to give Alan
Well,
the courtesy to go through all the documents, make sure he's clear. If
Okay.
he's satisfied, let's move on and make a motion. We've heard this over and over again.
We've
I'm
got to open
sorry.
to the public.
I'm terribly sorry. But listen, we have 3 obligations. 1, the town, 2, the neighborhood, 3, the applicant, period. So the neighborhood is part of our to watch. So don't tell me again it doesn't.
We open it to the public, and if a neighbor has concerns, he can speak up.
Absolutely. That's the process. Let the neighbors talk for themselves while we have it.
Let's move
You gotta-
on.
Oh, you gotta
Go on.
understand it better.
all right, let's open it to the public. Would anybody from the public like to comment or question this application at all? If so, please go to the bottom of your screen and under reactions, raise your hand. Anybody at all from the public want to comment on this application? Ron, do you see anyone?
No, sir, I don't.
Nor do
Not
I.
yet.
Okay,
If the
then
board is going to consider a motion, you should have it in 2 phases. There's a
Right.
application for pre-existing non-conforming use based upon the evidence that's presented, the testimony, the Sanborn maps, the tax records. And that certification of pre-existing non-conforming use would entail establishing the cottage and the primary dwelling. So 2 residential structures. The cottage is just a 1-bedroom structure.
right. Okay.
I would make a motion to approve the Sanborn maps and the documentation to establish pre-existing non-conforming use.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Nicole?
My mouse wasn't working, sorry.
Okay,
Okay, Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
No,
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
yes,
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
yes, on that portion. Now, I'll entertain a motion on the application for the rest of it, for the the boathouse, the house, the moving the, raising the garage and attaching it to the house.
Okay, and we talked about a
I'll make a
condition.
motion.
Yeah, the conditions would be that the dock width be increased to 4 feet from 2 feet, so there would be no variance. The
Right.
architectural plans will be signed and sealed. The soil erosion plan is going to be presented subject to the review of Mr. Rushke.
Okay,
Absolutely.
That's correct. Those are the conditions we went through last time, and the applicant has no problem with those.
okay, we all, also, I questioned the parking of the for the cottage, and we never did finish with that. We were just told that it looks like there's plenty of room to park. I wouldn't mind seeing that on the plans.
So there was testimony from Mr. Somjan with regard to that. It's essentially the same as it exists today, but I'm going to have Greg, would you just review that one more time? Because I know there was parking for 2 and that's not going to change, but put it on the record one more time, please, exactly how it was said.
Yeah, so the parking that exists for the cottage today, adjacent to the cottage, still exists. It's not changing. If you look at the sheet A1, the third site plan over, it shows the existing driveway remaining. We're basically taking the macadam from in front of the garage that is being knocked down, and we're moving it to in front of the garage that is new. And the area adjacent to the existing cottage remains untouched, so that there is 2 parking spaces adjacent to the cottage outside of the driveway. So if someone's parking for the cottage, they are not blocking the driveway. We shared that as well last meeting.
So just to be clear, we have 2 parking spaces for the cottage, and it's a 1-bedroom cottage.
Correct.
Okay,
And
thank
there's
you.
no work to be done on the cottage, correct? None?
Correct. There's no work being done on the cottage. Correct.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I think we had a motion from Mr.
We have a
Kaplan.
motion. We don't have a second yet.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
No.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
yes,
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Yes,
Mr. Tappan,
yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
no. Okay, it looks
Carried.
like it passes. Mr. Somjan, you have our permission to go ahead with the work.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board members. Have a nice evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hepley and Mr. Somjan both. Okay, we have new applications. We have 3 new applications. First is Bartos Pollock, block 20113, lot 7, 407 Wills Avenue. The applicant would like to construct a new single-family home. Variances being requested are just the lot width and anything else that the board deems necessary. Is Mr. Pollock here or somebody
Present.
representing him?
Mr. Chairman, for the record, I'm back.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I'm back also, Councilman Shin.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Pollock, I'm right here.
Oh,
And I
Mr.
have
Pollock,
Da-
there you go.
and then I have my engineer, David Fantina, presenting me.
Okay, would you raise your hand, please, and must be sworn in by our attorney?
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Pollock? Okay. And
do.
Mr. Fantina also? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Fantina, you're licensed in the state of New Jersey in what field?
Civil engineering. I've been licensed since 1987. I have appeared before this board previously. I've been the proprietor of Fantina Engineering since 2001. I hold a bachelor's and a master's degree in civil and environmental engineering, both from Rutgers University. I have been accepted as boards throughout the state.
Okay. And you prepared these plans?
I did.
Okay.
As an added bonus, I got my early training from Mr. Schindler's father, who worked for him back in the 1980s.
Is there any objection to accepting him as an expert witness? Okay, then go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. a fairly simple application tonight, I believe. May I share my screen?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, it's a fairly simple application, as I say, 407 Willis Avenue, located in the R1 zone. There's no house on the property now, but obviously there was in the past. It's already a driveway on the property. Property is quite steep, and what we're proposing is a 3-bedroom house, about 3,450 square feet livable space. We meet all of the criteria as far as setbacks, impervious coverage, and all that. We did get a review from Mr. Rushke, your engineer, back in September. We responded to that, and I think we got a much cleaner review from him now. The only variances that we're requesting are for existing conditions. In the R1 zone, minimum lot width of 120 feet is required. This lot only has a width of 98.9 feet. As I said, that's an existing condition. Nothing we can do about that. There's houses on both lots on either side of us. There's no way we could purchase property that would make it wider. And then in addition to that, Mr. Rushke pointed out that we're also requesting a waiver for a retaining wall along the existing driveway, which actually moves into the right-of-way. Retaining wall has to have a setback of 5 feet. This has a setback of 0 feet because it actually straddles the property line into the right-of-way. We're proposing to keep that there since it does help to hold up the driveway. The only other waiver that we're requesting is again for an existing condition, and that is that the existing driveway is quite steep, and we would like to keep it and not bring it down to ordinance requirements. The ordinance requires 8% within the first 8 feet of the curb line. However, the lot is so steep that it benefits us to keep the existing driveway where it is. As a matter of fact, we're trying to work with the topography as much as possible by having a garage floor underneath and a front-loaded garage. All that works with the topography. And even with that, it just makes it much easier to grade out if we can maintain the existing driveway the way it is. Other than that, there's really nothing unusual about this property. We are proposing a septic system in the back. If the board sees fit to approve this tonight, we'll be submitting to the Sussex County Health Department for approval for that, and also to the Upper Delaware SCD for their approval. And I don't believe there's anything else in Mr. Rushke's letter that we needed to address. So that's really all I have in direct testimony.
You'll have public water?
No, we're putting a well in. There's also,
Okay.
I'll show you where the well is. Let me find it myself.
Mr. Fantini, is there, I know there was a house there, I remember it. So is there an existing well somewhere on that property?
There is something which we believe is a well right in this area. The proposed well is going to the left of the house here. There is an existing, what we believe is a well. It looks like it may have been a shallow well back at the back of where the proposed house is. That will be properly abandoned in accordance with the health department's regulations.
Okay.
Is it a
Are there any
septic?
other questions from the board?
Is that a septic system or is it
That's going
Yeah,
to be in the
septic,
back of the
Mark.
house, he said.
All the way up in the back along the property line, you can see the septic field there.
Yeah, we're going to be pumping up to it.
got it? And the other question right now, is that paved?
I'm sorry.
Is the driveway that's existing, is it paved?
Yes, it probably needs to be repaved, but there was pavement or the remnants of pavement there, yes.
Okay.
Hey, any other questions from the board? Okay, let's open it to the public. Would you please stop sharing your screen so we could see if anybody from the public raises their hand? I'll open this to the public for comment and questions. If anybody from the public would like to comment or question this application, please go to the bottom of your screen and reactions, raise your hand. Seeing none, I will bring it back to the board. What is the pleasure of the board?
Can I ask John a question, Alan?
Go ahead.
John, what's your feeling on the slopes and this grading and what we have working on this property? I know there was a house there, but what's your on this lot?
No, I went through prior comment, addressed grading issues, and I don't see any, complication or issues with the grading. My only comment that I would have on this application, the existing walls, they're not in great shape, and just encourage the applicant to consider, doing something with the walls, because they do need maintenance. They seem like they're ready to fall down. So that's the only comment that I would have on this application.
Yeah, the walls, some of the walls are in the road right away. So if there's going to be some work done, he should get approval of the governing body to do the work that he's proposing to do. He's got to recognize that they're not on his property.
Yeah, that's
The
county.
county road also.
Oh,
Yeah.
never mind. County.
Got to get permission from the county.
Yeah, wrong body.
Any blasting have to get done? What do we need to do to get this foundation in?
We're not expecting any blasting. We did soil logs, and despite the fact that it appears rocky on the surface, we were able to dig down quite deep without hitting anything that was too hard.
In Hopatcong?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the variances.
Okay,
And I'll
is there a
second
second? Okay, we've got a second.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Councilman Schindler?
Got it. Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
yes,
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Yes.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. Okay, good luck, Mr. Pollock.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, the next application is Matt Ruskowitz, block 11009, lots 4 and 6, 109 and 113 Pocono Trail. Applicant would like to build a new single-family home on a vacant conforming lot. And there are some variances because of driveway grade, et cetera. Mr. Ruskowitz, you're here.
Yes.
Is anybody going to be testifying on your behalf?
No, only myself.
Okay, you want to raise your hand and be sworn in by our attorney, please?
Yes.
Mr. Ruskowitz, do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And Mr. Ruskowitz, you have two applications on the docket tonight. So the application we're talking about right now is 109 and 113 Pocono Trail.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and there's two lots there now, and the two lots will be combined as a single lot?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Ruskowitz.
Yes, so this is two different lots, and combined, they are 18,000 square feet, which is conforming. They were owned by a mother who passed away, and her son owned the other. Originally, they were 3 lots, and then they merged them into 2, and both existing lots that I'm merging have a sewer connection that was paid and current on their quarterly fees. Okay. Originally, I was going to buy one lot and develop it and then buy the other. But once we started the engineering on this property, we found it was way too steep to get more than one house in and actually have something that someone would want to buy and that was livable. So we have 2 variances. And first thing, the one variance for driveway steepness, that was actually the way the driveway slope was written on the original plan for the first 10 feet. It appeared to look like it was 10.08%, where it was actually 10 feet at 8%. So that variance is not actually needed. And on the, when we revised the plan after the review letter, we corrected that and made sure it was legible. And then we have the steep slopes, which is kind of, it's something that we can't avoid. We can't avoid disturbing steep slopes on this property, but we've spent a lot of effort to make this house work and not have that many walls. based on past houses I've built that were on lots similar to this, we learned a lot. For an example, we actually have the front door enter the height lower than the first floor to we try to keep the overall height of the house down. We also came up with a detail on the foundation where we were able to have the dirt on the rear of the house be higher than the first floor to also help the grades work on the rear of the property. We have 2 dry wells on the plan. We're not concerned about drainage. Before there was sewers on the property, the prior owner did a perk test, I believe in 2003, and it was sandy loam down to 8 feet. So there's no bedrock here. There's a couple large boulders. We're not gonna have to hammer. We're not gonna have to blast. It should be a very well draining site without too many issues. One thing is, I know because we're cutting down 26 trees in steep slopes, we're required to plant twice as many trees. We think planting 52 trees on this site would be very excessive, and we are only proposing 26. We don't want to just plant trees to plant trees, and we would like a waiver or variance to be allowed to plant less than the 52 trees. And that's pretty much it. It's a pretty cut and dry application, only having steep slopes be the only issue.
Okay, the driveway is going to be on the left side, correct? For this one?
Yes, driveway's on the left side. And it's the max pitch on the driveway is 12%, which is less than the max that you're allowed of 15%.
Right. What about the existing encroachment?
Okay. Originally, when we first submitted this application, my surveyor thought that the wall on the right side was further on the property. Once we got the review letter and John Ruskey was questioning that, we went to the property owner on the right. We got his survey. My surveyor called him. We did a lot of digging. I don't know if you guys know this, but surveying up here in the Pocono is like the Wild West. There's a lot of markers that are wrong. So what we did, my surveyor was able to talk. He actually knew the surveyor who surveyed the property on the right. He got his data from like 2004. He found markers all the way up where Pocono hits Brown Trail, and he redid the survey. The retaining wall is literally like stops right on the property line. That owner on the right, his grandfather used to own all these properties since like the 1950s, and he was confident that that wall was not on my property. So we worked that out. It's not an encroachment, no easements necessary.
Okay, anything else from Mr. Rushkey's report?
I think that's pretty much it. We already filed the application for the soil and conservation. I'm sure we're up on their agenda this month. We know about, we got to do the road opening permits. We have no problem with the super silt fence because it's steep slopes. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Anything else from the board?
What is the patio made of?
It's actually going to be on the architectural plans, it's a deck. It's shown as a deck, so then it won't count as impervious coverage.
And the boulder wall, how does that work with the 4-foot height? John, have you looked at that? Because isn't 4 foot, it has to be an engineered wall? I just don't know how to calculate that.
Greater than 4 feet has to be engineered.
Yes, I believe there was a detail on the engineer's site plan about the wall and how to backfill it with gravel and put a drain pipe behind it. And it's a max height of 4 feet. So it won't exceed 4 feet, but he does have a detail on his plan.
All right.
Anything else from the board? Okay, seeing none, I will open it up to the public. Would anybody from the public like to comment or question this application? If so, please go to the bottom of your screen and raise your hand. Marion Murdoch, you're muted, by the way. So unmute yourself.
All right, how's that?
There you go.
All
Okay.
right.
There you go.
You want to raise your hand, please, and be sworn in by our attorney.
Okay,
You swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And where do you reside?
106 Pocono Trail.
And where is that in relationship to this property?
My driveway, which is in the center of my property, hits directly in the center of that property across the street.
Okay, across the street.
Okay, go ahead.
I just have a question for the builder. My driveway runs downhill to my house, and in the past, under certain conditions, we've had water go right into our house. And I wondered if they had looked at where the driveway comes down, being that it's pretty steep, to make sure that water would not ever run off heavily and cross right over the road and go down my driveway.
Mr. Reskowitz.
Well, based on the fact that we're catching the majority of the water from our property from the house leader, we're catching on a square footage basis, we're probably going to send less water into the road than it currently is. And considering the road does have a crown, I would find it hard to believe that the water is going to run across the street and down her driveway.
Okay. I did see your plans and it looks like a beautiful house.
It should
You mean
be.
you don't want any more water coming in your driveway? I get it.
Exactly. I'm like, you don't know the terror I've been through.
Well, hopefully this will make it better.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Okay. Would
And
anybody else?
I don't know how you could possibly plant 52 trees after
No.
that house is built anyway. There's no way you could.
No, he has a nice plan for 26th Street there.
Thank you.
And I would like to make one more comment on the trees.
Go ahead, Matt.
If as I'm building it, if I want to move the trees around on the property, I would like the opportunity to do that based on, screenings with like the neighbors' trees and stuff. I would like that in the resolution that I can move the 26 trees around as I see fit once we're actually once we're on the project.
Okay.
As long as they're peppered around the property, not clumped in one spot. And that's the only logic to that.
Yes, I wasn't happy how my engineer drew the trees on top of that rock wall in the middle of the property. I would rather put them around the perimeter of the property, but he already had the 16 copies of the plans printed. I didn't want him to have to, redo that.
Okay.
Mr. Ruskowitz, you're the property owner? I should ask you that earlier. You own this property?
I'm a contract buyer.
Okay, okay.
I have one question. I'm looking at the plans. It says the application is a LLC. Is that, or is it you personally?
It's me personally. I'm personally under contract to buy the properties, and the application says that correctly. Sometimes these engineers get a little bit sloppy. I know the other application, that plan's correct also.
Okay. Anybody else from the public want to comment or question this application? If so, please go to the bottom of your screen and raise your hand in reactions. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion with a couple stipulations. One, the property is deeded as one property. Is that correct, Alan? This is going to be deeded one deed for the plot, correct?
Yep, it's going to be deeded as single.
Second one's all the things in Rushkey's report are included within this approval.
Okay, and the with the exception that the trees do not have to be in the exact location that they're shown to us.
Logical.
Do you have any quick question for John? Is that all right with you, John? I mean, moving them trees around wherever?
I think it just put it, unless something is really out of whack, it's good to have a reality check of checking, because the board is supposed to approve the landscaping plan. So, you can approve it contingent upon review by the engineer, just so there's a reality check on it.
All right.
26 trees, similar to the ones identified on the site plan.
Okay, we need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Mr. Bon Giovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Yes.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Reskowitz, you have another application, block 40106, lot 35 and 36 at 30 and 32 Tufts Trail. Applicant would like to build a new single-family home on a vacant undersized lot, and so on. So you're still, raise your hand. We'll get you under oath for this one.
Mr. Ruskowitz, do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And you're a contract purchaser of this property?
No, I own, this is 2 lots.
You
I
own
own them both.
Oh, okay.
Is on Tufts. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Ruskowitz.
Yes, so this property consisted of 2 40 by 100 properties. Originally, I purchased the first property, number 30, almost a year ago. That property had a paid sewer connection and the sewer was already tied in on the property. The owner was in default on his sewer. I paid off a $7,000 lien to the town when I purchased the property. The town was very happy with that money. Then once I bought that property, I tried to acquire surrounding properties because it was an undersized lot. I was able to acquire the 40 by 100 foot property to the right of that, number 32. I didn't have any luck trying to acquire the 2 rear lots that were both vacant. So this is a non-conforming lot that's only 8,000 square feet. But nevertheless, we spent a lot of time designing a house that fit inside the building footprint and was conforming in every other way besides the existing conditions of the lot. Like, we spent a lot of time designing this house because while it looks like when you drive by, it doesn't look like a bad lot. The road slopes a lot out front, and also from the front right corner of the lot to the back left corner is over 16 or 17 foot elevation change. Okay, so because of that, we decided to design a house with a garage below the house. And then what we also did, we had the first and second floor cantilever out over the patio. So we were able to tuck the patio underneath the house. So we were able to have a patio without adding extra lot coverage. We are allowed 25% building coverage here. We're only at 13%. So basically, I could have designed a house that was almost twice the size. Lot coverage is allowed 35%. We're at 31.2. Our average height is 31.4 feet, but we have a variance for that for the 2.5 story part of that. Some of the neighbors might not understand that part, but basically, while our average height is under the max of 35 feet, more than half of the basement level is out of the ground. So we're classified as more than a 2.5 story, 2.5 story house. There's really nothing we can do with that due to the topography of the land. We're allowed a 10-foot setback. Our closest side is the right side, and we're at 14 feet. On the left side, we're nowhere near the setback. Our driveway isn't even in the side yard setback. When we designed that, we pushed the house to the right because we had more space between the house on the right and the property line than on the other side. The house on the low side of the property is only about 6 feet from their property line. And that's also why we put our trees on that side, because we felt we needed the screening more on that side than the high side. And we are conforming on our front yard setback. If you drew a line from the front right corner of the left house and connected it to the front right corner of the right house, we're almost like we're right behind that. So as you drive up the street, it's going to flow really good with the other houses. We have a dry well off the driveway. We're catching all the driveway water. We're catching the roof leaders. We shouldn't have any drainage issues. I think that's it. I think I hit all the points.
Okay. Questions from the board?
We have to ask whether he sent Nash letters he testified that, I believe the lots to the rear are vacant. Maybe that's lot 19, lot 20. Is that right?
Yes, I did send in Nash letters to the surrounding properties. Obviously, I can't buy anything from the people on the right or the left, but the two rear
They're-
properties within.
Right and left are houses already, right?
Yes, I couldn't, they were already non-conforming lots. It's not like I could buy a sliver of land from them. But the
Yeah,
two
they're
rear
already-
lots, I tried heavily. And out of like the 25 or 26 houses that I had to notice, there were 5 lots that were equal to my size. There were 12 lots that were smaller and 8 lots that were larger. So this lot definitely is pretty average in the neighborhood.
Okay. So we've gotten no response on the Nash letters then?
No.
I do have copies of them in the file if you need to see them.
Good.
Questions
Okay.
from Mr. Rushke's review? Anything else on the technical review side? Mr. Rushke or Mr. Rushke?
We filed a soil and erosion application. And we're supposed to be on the agenda this month for that. And we got to do the super silt fence and we got to plant the trees.
Okay,
You-
your
you
driveway
agreed-
is on the right side here.
You agree to comply with Mr. Rushke's letter and more, correct?
Yes.
Now, this house is not going to be out of character with the surrounding homes, is it?
I don't feel it will. It has a footprint of about 1,236 square feet. The house to the left, the footprint's about 1,050 square feet. It's the overall square footage of the first and second floor is 2,050 square feet. So it's not, and the square footage is not an overall, it's not that large of a house. And if you look at the plan compared to the lot size, it actually, the house looks small on the lot. It makes the lot look big because it's not a big footprint of the house.
Okay, good. Okay, any other comments, questions from the board? Then let's open it to the public. Would anybody from the public like to comment or question this application? If so, please go to the bottom of your screen and in reactions, raise your hand. I saw somebody, Mr. Diorio. You're
Yeah.
up.
Yes,
You want to raise your hand, please, and be sworn in by our attorney.
You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And where do you reside, Mr. Dioro?
I'm at 34 Tufts Trail.
34 Tufts.
Right at the property.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
My main concern is the slope that goes from my property to his. There's huge rocks. And I don't know how he's going to get rid of those rocks without upsetting my property. Because I think the boulder, if you look at the property on the right side, it actually goes into my property. So I didn't see what that, how he's going to plan this. So I just don't want it to disturb my property.
Mr. Reskowitz?
Yes, there is a large boulder on the front right corner of the lot, and that boulder is actually majority of the steep slopes. We probably will have to hammer part of it. We've hammered rocks on other properties in town with no issues to any neighbors or any other, any other properties, and we don't foresee that to be a big issue. It's not a large amount of rock that we got to hammer, but there will be some rock that we have to hammer.
Okay, that's fine, but how are you going to put a wall that's going to keep my property the way it is, or is that slope going to affect that property? On that side.
The grade on our side of the property line is always going to be lower than yours. Nothing's going to happen with the grade that's like on your property. The grade slopes down towards my house, and it's always going to slope that way.
Okay.
Like you have no concern of any water going to your house because everything goes downhill.
Oh, no, I'm not worried
Nothing could ever
about,
affect you on that
about
front.
water. No, I'm not worried. In fact, I'm happy that you're developing the property because it's a mess. And it'll just help, it'll help the neighborhood. I was just concerned about that one big rock because I've been here 27 years. I've been trying to maintain that property myself because I know it was owned by the town. And I'm really happy that somebody else is like going to take care of it because people have been dumping there. But I was just concerned about that big boulder that really is almost right by my driveway.
Yes, and the way we have the house set on a lot, we pushed the house back as far as we could to avoid that as much as possible. Like, I wish I had the house 10, 15 feet more forward. I wish I was in line with the front of your house, but I have a much nicer backyard. But then I'm going for a front yard setback, and also I'm dealing with the rock a lot more. So we made the decision to push the house back as far as we could on the property.
So the front of your house that you're building, Matt, is it going to be in line with the house next door?
If you took, all right, so I'm behind the front of your house by about 15 feet, and I'm in front of their house about 5 feet. Like, if you take a line and go diagonally from your left front corner to their right front corner, I'm right behind that.
Oh, okay. I was just asking.
Yeah, we basically have it so this house is pinned to the rear yard setback. The back of our house is 20 feet off our rear property line.
Oh, okay.
So it's set back from the road. And a lot of that reason was, number one, we wanted to be conforming on front yard setback. And number two, we wanted to avoid that rock as much as we can because rock removal is very expensive. I learned that dearly this past year.
And Matt, the driveway, again, I haven't seen the plans. Will it be more towards the other property?
Yeah,
or-
the driveway's on the left property side.
Okay.
So the driveway is going to slope down to the house. It's about a 5% slope, which isn't too steep. So it's on lot 30. It's not on the lot next to you.
And will you be pulling up a lot of the trees?
Yes, we are taking down trees.
Thank you.
I
have been battling with the town with these trees because they're dead. You know, they're dying, and I had to take a tree down myself because it was over my deck that the town wouldn't take care of. So I'm very happy that you're doing what you're doing.
That's good. And I'm glad you're happy. We're going to pick up all the garbage. Normally, when we buy these properties, we take out a truckload of old tires, scrap metal. People just dump on these properties. That's what we're used to finding.
Yes. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diorio. Anybody else from the public want to comment or question this application? Anybody at all? If so, please go to the bottom of your screen and reactions, raise your hand. Seeing no one else, I will bring it back to the board. What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion. With the deed and also John Ruskey's comments.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Bongiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mrs. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Tappan?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Got it. Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ruskowitz.
Thank you so much.
You got them both. Okay, we move on to zoning officer report. Bill, do you have anything for us?
Nothing tonight.
Nothing again. Okay, discussion. Is there anything that we need to discuss tonight?
Anything coming up with planning?
Planning.
Something we haven't done in a while.
No, we haven't.
Actually, there was actually some movement on the Highlands to comment on the resource analysis that we did along Lakeside Boulevard. So it looks like we're got their final comments. We're revising the plan. So we may be moving quickly into actually the redevelopment zone on Lakeside Boulevard.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
we
yes,
kind of,
yes,
we
yes.
kind of finally got some movement on them after the holidays. So just got those comments. So we'll see some progress.
Good. Okay, do you have anything on the Hudson Maxim School?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. Okay. Anything else we need to discuss? Okay, let's move on to resolutions. Scott Martins, hearing date December 21st, 2021. Motion is in order to approve the Martins resolution granting variance approval to permit construction of an addition, detached garage and rooftop deck on a parcel improved with a single-family home on 502 Lakeside Drive, Block 50602, Lot 25. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion. To approve it.
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
yes,
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Yes, yes,
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. Second, Robert Devine, motion is in order to approve the Devine resolution granting variance approval to replace a dock with an expanded dock. 16A Daystream Lane, Block 50411, Lot 37. Hearing date was December 7th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second it.
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Abstain.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
yes,
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
yes, yes,
Councilman Schindler,
yes,
Yes.
Mayor Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. Correspondence. Now, we have nothing listed. However, we did get something, and it's a mandatory stormwater training for board members. We got this from Samantha at Mont McDonald, and I went to it and started following the links, and I could be on it for the entire rest of my life, I believe. John, do you want to
Chairman,
tell
that's
us?
that was only for new board members who haven't, I imagine you've already done it.
Oh,
So
I have.
yeah, if you read the body of I forwarded that on from Sam. It's just for new board members. So at this point, the only one that would have still, I imagine, needed to do it would have been Jim, and he did confirm with me today that he completed it. I mean, I imagine that we are going to have some new board members in the future to fill a few more spots, but we'll have to send it on to them when they come on board.
I have to complete that because I never got notification that I needed to do that, so I will take care of that.
You've never done it since you've been on the board? Because you only do it.
I never knew that we had to do that.
Okay. Let me know if you need me to resend the email.
I got the email. I'll get to it. I saw that. I flagged it.
And now a full-fledged member, so now he gets all the fun.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, while you're looking for a new crew chief, you can be reading a little light reading while you're doing that.
That's the silver lining.
That's right. Or convince the mayor before tomorrow not to do it.
Just remember which way the water
No.
runs.
Escrow
Alex, Is
refund.
there a base class we have to take as well?
Pardon?
Isn't there a base class we have to take as well? I mean, when you come on the
Oh,
board?
yeah. Yeah.
Member.
Yes, Jim
And I
is, again, it's just, right now, it's just Jim that hasn't completed it, and he's scheduled. I need to complete the registration, but he's going to be doing the class in March. Because there's like one per month, and March happens to be a weeknight instead of a weekend. So he's going to be, he confirmed with me today, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be registering him for the March class.
It's a good class.
Duncan, did you take that?
Absolutely.
Hey, Duncan, did you take that?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Wow.
Back in the dark
I could,
ages.
before you were even in the town, Ron.
Escrow refund, there are
That's why-
none. Did we pay
That's
the
why I
bill?
learned those rules.
Anybody want to pay the bills?
Pay the bills.
Pay the bills.
Pay the bills.
Okay, we've got a motion by Ray, second by Duncan.
Got it. Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Croc,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Yes.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. I will now open the meeting to the public. Would anybody from the public like to address the board on any issue at all? Any applications from tonight or previous, any issue at all? If so, please go to the bottom of your screen and reactions, raise your hand. Anybody at all from the public? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the board. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? I understand that tomorrow night, the Borough Council is going to be approving moving Anthony to a full membership rather than an alternate and appointing some alternates to the board. So we will think again.
That's correct.
Congratulations, Anthony. You have about 22 hours to convince us otherwise.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, will you send me that contact info?
Pardon?
I was asking the mayor if he'll get me the contact info for the new members after tomorrow.
And then she can forward it to me.
Yep.
Okay, Judy, you're up.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending.
Have a nice
Good night,
evening.
everyone.
Good night.